What are the keys to the kingdom? And do we have access to these keys? Peter hit the nail right on the head when in Matthew, Jesus asks his disciples, "Who do you say I am?" Peter replied, "You're the Messiah." Now, the Messiah, as the Jews knew at the time from their scriptures, was the long-awaited chosen one, the Lamb who would take away the sins of the world, the Savior. And Jesus looked at Peter and he said, "You have the keys to the kingdom." Right there, with that piece of information. Because other places, Jesus says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." And so to get to the kingdom, the key is Jesus. Jesus also speaks of himself as being a door to good pasture. And so we do have access to these keys of Jesus, who has made himself accessible to us. I do prison ministry for Desert Apologetics. And while calling my ministry Keys might be a little bit on the nose, it is a direct link to a conversation to the gospel. So when I talk about the keys to the kingdom, that's what I'm talking about. And one of our missions is to be mission-minded, rather than just do apologetics. We want to do apologetics in missions. And where else is better than in our prisons? Sometimes people need to hit rock bottom in order to see their need for a lifeline. And that's why I really believe that prison ministry is so important, because these people find themselves in a vulnerable position. They realize they need something outside of themselves, and so they might turn to cults, they might turn to gangs, they might turn to people who will manipulate and use them. And so I believe that prison ministry is so important because we need to point them to the truth. We need to point them to Jesus. Jesus is the key to the door that leads to true good pasture and freedom and hope. And my prayer is that if you haven't found yourself in a place of rock bottom, that you at least see the need that you have in your life for a Savior, and that a Savior is accessible, that we have access to keys that lead us to the kingdom.